Impact Wrestling presents Rebellion this Saturday evening. Going to give you my preview and predictions for the 2022 event here on SCW. Thank you for choosing the channel and choosing the video. Please subscribe right now. Leave any comments in the comment section. Please like and share the video as well. Well, before I can give my predictions, you need a match card. So without further ado, this is what we got to look forward to this Saturday evening. So there it is. I think we can all agree a fantastic looking card. Impact Wrestling has been knocking it out of the park in 2022 with such fantastic matches and brilliant shows as well. One or two matches could be still added to this card as well. Look out for Mickie James versus Chelsea Green. I think will be a late addition. If that does happen, I think Chelsea Green will pick up the victory. Going into the main show, and I don't usually do this, but I'm going to do it for this video because I've got a lot to say. We're going with the main event first. That's right, the Impact World Championship. Moose defending against Josh Alexander, a story that is 6 months in the making. Josh Alexander winning the World Championship at Bound for Glory to only be cashed in on a couple of seconds later when Moose called his shot by spearing Josh Alexander in the ring whilst his wife and child was in the ring with them to become your Impact World Champion. Josh Alexander's had to control his aggression since he's had to go through multiple obstacles, including Mahiro Suzuki, going through Charlie Haas. We've even seen Jonah at one point as well. Of course, following this, Josh Alexander then had a confrontation with Scott D'Amore. He was sent home for not being able to keep his aggression intact. Of course, the time he was away, we knew his contract was running out, but he did renew his contract with Impact Wrestling. He returned at Sacrifice, actually showing he signed a multi-year new deal. He'd actually then attacked Moose as well and had a second contract for a match at Rebellion. Moose also explaining that he actually was going to do what it takes to win the championship. He has no remorse for doing what he did with Josh and his family when he won the championship. He sleeps well at night. I thought that was a very key line that was done. And of course, since then, when Moose went to sign the contract, he actually delivered it to Josh Alexander's home where his wife and child was. Josh Alexander, of course, being in the impact zone. And then Moose even went to an indie event to spear Josh Alexander's wife, which of course has caused all sorts of chaos since Moose, of course, was sent home from Impact Management and Josh Alexander took it out on Madman Fulton, breaking his ankle in and after a match as well. So this is at fever pitch. It is very personal, this match. It's a match I'm very much looking forward to. The only nitpick I have of this whole story between then and now is we always knew this would be the final destination. So every championship match that Moose has had has kind of felt a bit predictable up until this point, but I'm going to give full credit to Impact Wrestling. This has been a well-told story, a long, lengthy feud as well, 6 months in the making. So this is a big match, a worthy main event of any show, and it is the right time for Impact Wrestling to make Josh Alexander the face of their company. I'm predicting Josh Alexander will get his revenge over Moose and become the Impact World Champion. This time, he'll hold that championship longer than a couple of minutes. He could actually go on to be their champion for the rest of this calendar year. In fact, what a great way it would be to close the show as well with Josh Alexander holding that championship, celebrating with his family. I hope his family, his wife and kid, are at ringside because that could play into a great narrative into the story of the match as well. But all in all, my prediction, Josh Alexander will become the brand new world champion and the face of Impact Wrestling. Next, let's talk about a match that I believe could steal the show. The X Division Championship Triple Threat match. Trey Miguel, the champion, defending against Ace Austin and Speedball Mike Bailey. Very interesting concept with this match because Ace Austin seemingly thinks he wants to get Mike Bailey on his side. Of course, Madman Fulton has been someone that's always been on his side, but of course he's been taken out by Josh Alexander, so he'll be a non-factor come this Saturday evening. This is match of the night written all over it. The story in the match, as well as I say, will be quite fun. Speedball's been very calm about this situation, telling Ace Austin what he wants to hear, but perhaps not overcommitting either, to the point that Ace Austin seems a bit confused by the situation. Still, I guess he's hopeful, but more desperate than anything else. But let's see how it's going to play then into this Saturday evening. To give a prediction is not going to be easy on this one, but I've decided to go with Speedball Mike Bailey. I think that is the destination that Impact wants for their X Division champion. So even if it wasn't on this show, I think ultimately he will end up being the champion. I think there's a case for all three to walk out with a victory in this match, but I think Speedball makes the most sense, and here's why for narrative where we can go afterwards. Trey Miguel has been champion for 6 months. I think it's time for passing of the torch, if you will. But perhaps we can get Speedball and Trey Miguel have a match with these two for the X Division Championship at the next special Impact Plus event, because Ace Austin, of course, you know, he could be one of those that'll be kind of okay with it at first, even though deep down you know he's not, because, you know, he's gonna be like, you know, it's great that one of us won the championship, but it should have been me, and, well, you know, we're good friends after all, so maybe I should get the first title shot. But of course, when Trey Miguel earns that opportunity, gets the match first, Speedball can be sort of like, yeah, I'm happy to face you in a match, but, you know, Trey Miguel won the match to get an opportunity, so it makes more sense for this moment that I take on him, I face you another time. Ace Austin then can perhaps snap, and then that way it becomes more personal, and we can build a match between Speedball, Mike Bailey, and Ace Austin heading in to Slammiversary. So for that reasoning, I'm going to go for Speedball, Mike Bailey to become your brand new X Division champion at Rebellion. And another side note, I think this will be the match of the night. There's a few candidates of what could be. I think this will steal the show. Next, let's talk about the Champ Challenge. Of course, Deonna Purrazzo is the current Reinas champion and Ring of Honor champion, and usually it's an open challenge. She's been, you know, winning matches left, right, and centre. I believe 7 people she's gone through with the open challenge. But going into this show, she knows who she's facing. She was confronted at the multiverse of matches by none other than Taya Valkyrie. Taya Valkyrie will be challenging as well for the AAA Reinas championship, and I'm very much looking forward to this match because these two have wrestled before. They have history in Impact Wrestling. In fact, Deonna Purrazzo sent Taya Valkyrie packing the last time they wrestled, and I think this time could be a very interesting narrative because I think Taya Valkyrie is going to be the one that is going to pick up a victory and take one of those championships away from Deonna Purrazzo. Because Deonna Purrazzo, she's been no stranger to championships in her time in Impact Wrestling, but I am starting to wonder, is her contract expiring later this year? Because if so, she's going to start dropping championships, and who knows, if she doesn't re-sign with the company, she won't be around a lot longer. So let's see how it's going to play out. I'm hoping Deonna Purrazzo sticks around. She's one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. She adds so much depth to the Knockouts division, and I'd like to see her as a Knockouts champion again someday. But we know unless she's signed to Ring of Honor or AEW, she won't be keeping the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship when she faces Mercedes Martinez in a match. So I think the Impact may bite the bullet, and rather than losing that championship first, I think it could be this championship, the Reinas championship, that is dropped first. And I think Taya Valkyrie is going to be the person that is going to get that W, to take that championship back to AAA, but also to get revenge for when they fought the last time in Impact for the Knockouts Championship. Speaking of the Knockouts Championship, let's talk about that match next, shall we? The champion Tasha Steelz taking on Rosemary, who won a Battle Royale to get into this position. Of course, Tasha Steelz hasn't forgotten that Decay took the tag team titles off of her and Kiera Hogan last year, but of course Tasha says, look where she is now, what has changed in 12 months, and she obviously thinks that Rosemary hasn't changed so much. Well, I'm going to agree with Tasha Steelz. I think Tasha is retaining the championship here. I just don't see Rosemary as a threat in 2022. She's got a fun gimmick, of course, and she's a legend, if you want, for the Impact and the Knockouts division, but I don't see her taking the championship here. Tasha Steelz is the current and the future of Impact Wrestling and its Knockouts division. For me, she should be retaining the championship here. Now, I mentioned Ring of Honor just a short time ago on this video. Let's talk about its champion, Jonathan Gresham, someone who is signed with AEW and Ring of Honor now, is here at Rebellion, going to be taking on Eddie Edwards, of course, a former Ring of Honor World Champion and now the leader of the group Honor No More, which of course is a lot of ex-Ring of Honor talent. I'm really looking forward to this match. I'm not sure how long Jonathan Gresham is sticking around in Impact Wrestling, but I'm so glad that he's going to be here and a part of this show, especially being around for most of 2022 so far. Of course, he had a great match with Chris Sabin back at Hard to Kill. I think this one could be right up there as well, because Gresham was going to be helping out part of Team Impact at one point before he was taken out backstage. And of course, Eddie Edwards was a part of Team Impact and turned on them in part of the match at No Surrender to become the leader of Honor No More. So this match sells itself, the fact that Eddie Edwards, of course, was everything at one point that was Mr. Impact Wrestling, but also what Ring of Honor represented. And now Jonathan Gresham wants to teach him a lesson. I think this will be a really, really fun match. For me, personally, looking at this, it's interesting the ROH World Championship is not on the line, because this now makes this match a lot less predictable. It would have been an obvious Jonathan Gresham victory otherwise. I do wonder if there could be a world title match further down the line between these two, that this could be the start of a feud and not a finish. But my mind says Jonathan Gresham is going to win this match. I'm going to make that as the prediction, but I wouldn't be surprised if this went either way. I really like the idea as well that they are interacting, and I'd like to see a working relationship with Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling continue, because with Honor No More, for example, if they were to go and invade over in Ring of Honor and say, look, this is, you know, the company that was buried down and shouldn't be built back up. Why are other people getting opportunities when our jobs were taken away from us? Stuff like that. I think it would really be a fun storyline narrative. And with a lot of invasion angles that are done in previous times in wrestling, with company versus company, someone comes out looking very, very weak. If Honor No More go over to Ring of Honor, even though they're part of Impact Wrestling, they're not actually Impact Wrestling. So if they lose the feud at the end, it doesn't do so much damage to Impact at the end of it. So for me, I really hope there is this cross between, and then that would actually make me feel, hang on, maybe there'd be a chance from what I said earlier in the video could be wrong, and that Deonna Purrazzo could keep the ROH Women's World Championship and do appearances over there, and they could continue having a working relationship. Something I'd very, very much to see, and I've got a separate video on this which I'll tag at the end of this video. But so I don't go so off the point, I'm going to give a prediction for this match. I'm going to say Jonathan Gresham, but don't be surprised if Eddie Edwards picks up the victory. He's got the group, he's got the stable on his side, and of course then it could lead to a world title match further down the line. Next, let's talk about Jonah versus Ishii. I'll tell you what, this is going to be two big men slapping me. I cannot wait. A hard-hitting affair. Jonah's had some hard-hitting matches very recent in Impact Wrestling, going through a lot of the roster, but of course a very brutal rivalry with PCO, which has been quite fun to see. Ishii was a part of Impact, the multiverse of matches during WrestleMania weekend, actually won a match over Eddie Edwards at the time, so it'll be interesting to see these two going head-to-head in a clash here. Of course, it's Impact versus New Japan Pro Wrestling. Good to see that relationship continue as well, both being on Access TV at the moment. But for me, Jonah could be a natural #1 contender for the world title going into Slammiversary. For me, it's very important that Jonah picks up the victory in this match. So he'll be my prediction, but I'm very much looking forward to this because two very hard hitters here, as I say. This one could be a show stealer. Next, let's talk about another triple threat match on the card. We have Jay White, the leader of the Bullet Club, going against Chris Sabin, one half of the Motor City Machine Guns, and of course Steve Maclin rounding off the trio here. Exciting match. Of course, these three all came to blows at the Multiverse show because we're Chris Sabin against Jay White. Chris Sabin picking up the victory against Jay White in that match. Of course, Jay White had beaten his mentor Alex Shelley previously at Sacrifice. Steve Maclin looking to get revenge over everyone on Team Impact who thought he was going to turn on them. So yeah, that's kind of got him involved and interacting with Jay White as well. So it's exciting to see how this is going to play out. For me to give a prediction, this could go any way really, but I can't bet against Jay White, to be honest. I feel Jay White is a global star, New Japan star, and should be picking up the victory here. I'd like to see Jay White go for the Impact World Championship at some point in the future. I just feel that would be a great thing for Impact and a great thing for New Japan as well. So yeah, for that reason, I'm going to go for Jay White to pick up the W. Last but not least, let's talk about the Impact World Tag Team Championship. It's going to be defended in an 8-team elimination challenge. Now, of course, this is done previously before. I think we did it with the X Division Championship last year. So it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to take place. I think it's going to be like a gauntlet style match. Two tag teams going to start it off, and then of course, when one team is eliminated, another team comes in. We know Violent by Design, of course, are the champions, going to be defending the gold here, but we're not aware of the other 7 teams. According to Wikipedia, it says to be announced, but I've got potentially 8 teams down here, so one team would have to be ruled out. So let's go through who I think potentially could be in this match. Now, first and foremost, the obvious, the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows, I imagine will be in the house. Honor No More will have representation, I'm sure, in this match as well. Perhaps we could get the OGK, of course, the Kingdom, original Kingdom of Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. I think they would be shooing for this match. I'm sure we'll get Rich Swann and Willie Mack in this match, as well as Heath and Rhino. Heath and Rhino have done stuff separately in recent times, but have said they work better as a unit rather than individually, so it makes sense for them to go here after the tag team championships. As well as that, we could get the major players involved with this. Of course, Brian Myers and Matt Cardona have recently aligned as well, along with Chelsea Green. So of course they took out Dobby Morrissey, of course, recently on Impact Wrestling on the weekly TV show, which made me think Dobby Morrissey could be a part of this match as well, either individually, which wouldn't surprise me at all if he was to do that to try and get revenge on, of course, the major players, or for one night only, perhaps he brings in Enzo Amore. We'll have to wait and see. It's a wild prediction, but it's something I think potentially could happen. The last spot then, for me, is one of two teams. Finjuice is one because they've been in and around Impact over the last 12 months. Wouldn't be surprised to see them make an appearance. But the other ones have been advertised for after Rebellion, but perhaps could make a shock debut at Rebellion and could be sticking around. What if the Briscoes would have come in to Impact Wrestling at this show? Certainly something not to ignore, certainly in my personal opinion anyway. For me personally, if I was booking this match, I would start things off with the major players against W. Morrissey, whether he's on his own or with Enzo. I think that's a great way to kick it off. I think W. Morrissey then should get the revenge, of course, over the major players, then get Violent by Design in this match early, because I do not think they are retaining their championships. I will say that now. And of course, what would be a nice bit of narrative for that as well is that W. Morrissey debuted at Rebellion last year with Violent by Design. So that would be a nice little bit of continuity from storytelling from a year previous to now. You can get obviously then the likes of, you know, Honor No More, Good Brothers in there, so we're there against one another, get rid of Violent by Design, so we can finally get the Bullet Club against Honor No More, get that kicking off as well. We can get, you know, Swan and Mac in the mix as well. We can perhaps get Heath and Rhino towards the end of the match as well. So let's see how this is going to play out. I'm really intrigued because honestly, anyone could walk away tag team champions. This is the hardest match to predict of all. But I am going to go for one of two teams. I'm going to go for a prediction. But for this, I'm going to do a backup prediction because it's my video. I can do what I want. The prediction I'm going to give you, I'm going to go for Heath and Reina. They said they could do things better together than individually. Yes, I suppose you could do more of a story of it, but I think it just makes a lot of logical sense if they were to go into this match and win as a team. So they're going to be my number one prediction. But my backup prediction is going to be Honor No More, because that way Honor No More then can actually have the rivalry of the Bullet Club. It can go over the tag team championships. That can go over, you know, a number of weeks and months. So for me, that would actually be quite another logical storyline that you could get coming out of this. So it's interesting, it's very exciting. I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you think the other teams will be in this match, and who do you think will walk away as Impact World Tag Team Champions? Before I leave you, I must talk about the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championship. It's going to be defended on YouTube, so this will be taking place before Rebellion starts. It's the kickoff match. Of course, the champions, the Influence, will be taking on the Inspiration once again. Of course, the key note that's different about this match to any other, Caleb with a K is no longer with the Influence. There've been a lot of teasing building up to this for months with Caleb with a K. Would he go and side with the Inspiration? Well, now he has been fired. So if Caleb was to join the Inspiration instead of the Influence, he wouldn't necessarily be backstabbing anymore. He would be fired from his position. He's very free to go and have other clients, and he said he will get other girls. The question is though, is it going to be the Inspiration, who have been almost seemingly trying to get Caleb on their side for a number of months now? We did see Giselle Shaw actually backstage with Madison Rain at one point saying that they made a big mistake firing Caleb with a K. So could Giselle Shaw, perhaps she was teaming with Lady Frost very recently as well at the Multiverse show, so maybe, you know, their difference has been put to the side and maybe they're going to work together as a tag team. Maybe Caleb will be aligned with them going forward. Caleb with a K is going to play a factor in this match. Whether he's got new women by his side or whether he joins the Inspiration, that remains to be seen. I think if I had to predict, I think that probably people would want him to go the Inspiration. I think he's going to have another team, and Giselle Shaw and partner, potentially Lady Frost, could be the other. But one thing is for sure, to give a prediction, I think those straps are going back to the Inspiration. So there you have it, Impact Wrestling Rebellion 2022 predictions. You now know my thoughts, my preview, my picks for the show. It is time for you to let me know your picks in the comments below of this video. And also, if you've enjoyed it as well, please like the video, share it with a friend as well, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that beautiful bell. You can be notified each and every time a video is released on this channel. Just to say, by the way, do let me know your predictions in the comments, because I look forward to interacting with you and finding out your thoughts and your picks for this Saturday evening. In the meantime as well, while you're on the channel, check out some of these videos popping up on the side of the screen right now, including why I think Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling should have a bit of a partnership going forward. Let me know what you think about that as well in the comments below. I'll see you very soon here on SCW. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy Rebellion 2022, and I'll see you next time.